We're getting close. All the way in the corner? Just checking. Yeah, all the way. I know.
What, who's that?
All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, commissioners. We're going to begin our Wednesday, April 5th, 2023 LAFCO meeting. May I have a roll call, please?
Jim Anderson,
Hi, here.
Commissioner Roger Anderson,
I'm here.
Chair Yvette Brooks,
Here.
Commissioner Justin Cummings, absent. Commissioner Zach Friend,
Here.
Commissioner Rochelle Lather,
Here.
Commissioner Eduardo Montesino, absent. Alternate Commissioner Ed Banks,
Here.
Vice Chair John Hunt,
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Manu Koenig, absent. And Alternate Commissioner Alan Timms.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum, and since Commissioner Montesino is absent, Alternate Commissioner Alan Timms will be a voting member.
Great, thank you. So we'll move on to item 2. Mr. Serrano, this is your executive officer's message.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just as a reminder to the commissioners and members of the public, we're conducting the LAFCO meeting in a hybrid approach. So commissioners are required to be here in person unless they're sick. And our legal counsel and members of the public have the option to join us virtually or in person. So our legal counsel, Josh Nelson, is joining us remotely. And for members of the public, they also have an option to provide comments to any of the agenda items. And they can either do that in person by coming to the podium. They'll have up to 3 minutes, or they could raise their hand on the Zoom platform. If they're joining us by conference call, they can press *9. And again, they'll have up to 3 minutes to address the commission. And since we're back to in-person procedures, there is no need for a roll call vote. You can just have a voice vote. Madam Chair, that concludes my quick overview of the hybrid meeting process.
Thank you. Now moving on to item 3, the adoption of our March 1st, 2023 minutes. May I have a motion to approve?
I'll move approval. I'll second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Okay, we'll move on to the next item. This is oral communications, item 4. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the commission on items not on today's agenda. Do we have anyone in the public who would like to address the commission this morning?
And
Any
we don't
online?
see any online either.
All right, we're moving right along here to item 5. This is our public hearings. Our first item this morning is item 5A, Scotts Valley Water District Sphere Annexation. I'll turn this over to staff for a presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Staff received an application back in September to annex approximately 184 parcels into the water district. But before we go over the actual proposal, I just want to give you a background on how we got to this point. As you can see on the screen, the Scotts Valley Water District was formed back in 1961. It currently has around 11,800 population in their district, and they have approximately 4,300 connections. As you can see on the map, they have 4 non-contiguous service areas. And the commission back in 1985 adopted a sphere. What's interesting about this sphere, it included areas outside its jurisdiction, but it also excluded areas within the district's jurisdiction. So there was a little bit of discrepancy there. And this sphere has been in place for almost 40 years until 2021, when the commission adopted a standalone service and sphere review. And we amended the sphere to reflect their actual jurisdictional boundary. But we also required the district to review their sphere boundary and determine, does it really reflect their future service area? And we require them to take action, either to submit an application for annexation or to amend their sphere to accurately display their future growth potential or current or future service area, which resulted in the district submitting an application to annex it. So they did an internal analysis and they determined that we should annex these areas. We are the most logical provider for these parcels. And in fact, there's additional parcels that we're already serving outside our jurisdictional boundaries. So they have proposed to annex 184 parcels. 81% of those parcels are within the sphere, meaning since 1985, we have determined that they're the most logical provider for those parcels. And an additional 35 parcels were included in this proposal because 29 of them are already being served by the district, and the remaining 6 are to make sure that the service area is actually coterminous. So that's how we got to this point. And just for additional information, the parcels in question primarily designated as rural or mountain residential. And on your screen, you can see the land use designations. So now I want to go over what this annexation does and doesn't do. So first, the annexation will not force the residents to become customers. On the contrary, it now gives them the option to connect if they choose to, now or in the future. The annexation will also not increase their property taxes or incur them additional fees or costs. Any charges for services will occur if they choose to connect to the district's infrastructure. What the annexation will do is provide more oversight on the water supply. So there are currently 51 wells, private wells, within the annexation area. They're getting the same water from the district. They have the same Santa Margarita groundwater basin. So now with this annexation, we can have better oversight by having a government entity seeing where the water supply is being used. It also improves the connection process. More often than not, residents, when they want to connect, it's because they're having issues with their current level of service, or they're having deficiencies with their current infrastructure. And the last thing that they want to do is having to go through the process and then realize they have to get approval from a state agency that they never heard of. And it's going to take 6 to 8 months to complete, and additional thousands of dollars to get approval by LAFCO, and then start the district connection process. So this expedites the process. And again, we're talking about parcels that for over 40 years, LAFCO has determined that the district is the most logical provider. So this annexation reinforces our sphere determination, and it reinforces LAFCO's findings. Again, back in 2021, we did a standalone service review, and we required the district to look at their sphere boundaries and determine whether or not it reflects their future. And so this is a result of the commission's analysis of the district. Therefore, staff is recommending that the commission adopt the draft resolution approving the multi-parcel annexation into the district. I will note that the current general manager of the water district, David McNair, is on this meeting virtually, as well as our water consultant, who is the former general manager of the water district. They are on standby in case we have any questions directly for the district. But with that, Madam Chair, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions from our commissioners? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you don't have to have an overlay of the SLV water, and because I know that along Lockwood Lane and some of those places there's real close proximity. In fact, I think Spreading Oaks is possibly served, the subdivision that this one partial comes up to is served by San Lorenzo Valley Water.
So a great question. And we made sure that none of the annexation areas overlap with the San Lorenzo Valley Water District. We have been in coordination with San Lorenzo Valley Water, with their general manager. They're aware of the annexation. They did not oppose this annexation, but no, there is no overlap.
Okay.
Please.
A couple of questions. The first one is, I noticed that there's a fee waiver, so there's no charge for this annexation. If you could explain that a little bit, the reasons would be greatly appreciated. And the second question is it a policy of Scotts Valley Water District to require capping of wells when they connect up to the municipal water?
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. So for the first question, the fee waiver, as part of the proposal, they submitted a letter requesting a fee waiver. LAFCO staff agreed that what we're trying to do here is good government. This sphere has been in place for, again, 38 years, and we haven't seen much activity. So the district was willing to be proactive and initiate the process, and they did request a fee waiver for any annexations above 100 acres. We require an $8,000 fee deposit. We call it deposit because at the end of the process, we do a cost analysis and return any remaining funds back to the applicant. That's something that that's a standard practice. However, staff believe that because of this blanket annexation that would benefit the residents, benefit the districts, staff is recommending waiver of this fee because, again, it's an example of good government. The commission has the option to make any other conditions or terms, but staff is recommending for this case to have a fee waiver. As for the capping of the wells, I defer to the general manager of the water district because I want to make sure that the information I provide you is accurate. So, Mr. David, we're going to ask to unmute your microphone. If you can answer that question, if that's possible.
Hello, yes, and thank you for the question, and thank you for taking the time to consider our application. In regards to the if someone were to ask to join or get hooked up to our water system, and they have a well or maybe a failing well, there is no requirement from the district to cap the well. They would be required to get a backflow device at the service connection because of the dual water situation there. But I believe if there was especially if the well were to fail, I think we would certainly refer them to the county and encourage them to destroy the well in accordance with county procedures.
So I interpret that saying that people can keep water service as well as the well if they want to. And I didn't quite understand, but did you say that the usage of the well will be monitored so that there's not, so the total water usage is covered?
There is no, we cannot enforce or compel someone to put a meter on their well right now. That kind of jurisdiction actually falls under the Santa Margarita Groundwater Agency, which is represented by private well owners. Our immediate concern would be water contamination, i.e. having a source that could somehow could be cross-connected and backflow into our system under certain conditions. We're required by state law to address that with what's called a backflow device. It's installed just past the meter. It's a device that ensures that we are protected, and it's also a device that would be tested annually.
Does that answer your question?
It's fine.
Okay. Any other questions from our commissioners? Okay, let's take this to the audience. Any questions from our audience or comments?
All right, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. I'm all for the annexation. The person I'm representing has been trying to do this for 4 years and has been, it's been a nightmare. My question is though, when it gets annexed, is the sphere of influence as well being moved? And I think it is. And my question is, there's a property that right now is having a hard time, and there's kind of a negative light to it. It's been red tagged. There was a house on the property, and in '89 it got demoed from the earthquake. I got a permit saying you could build on it in '06. Well, now in 2012, the county said that environmental planning that there was a wetlands to it. There's a lot of history. Well, I wanted to know, once this gets annexed over, the county of Santa Cruz, who has jurisdiction over it, is it now the headache of Scotts Valley? And so I'm kind of trying to figure out, I understand the police department and the fire department and all those jurisdictions now take over. But my question is, the sewer, it's the Scotts Valley Public Works is taking over the sewer, and then the planning department and the building department. So does everything go over to Scotts Valley, or how does that work? I can't find it in the agenda or in the information that I've been looking. And I've been kind of looking at this for the last 4 months. So my head's really wrapped around it. I know you're probably just now hearing this, and but I've met with a lot of people. I'm just trying to figure it all out. So anyways. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Serrano, do you have the Cliff Notes version of that answer?
Yeah. So your first question, if this is annexation is approved, the sphere will also be amended. So as you can see on the screen, this shows the hypothetical jurisdictional sphere boundary of the district. If the commission approves the annexation, it will finally be coterminous to one another. Now, the Scotts Valley Water District and the city of Scotts Valley are two different governmental entities. So
Sure.
what we're talking about right now is the Scotts Valley Water District that provides water to areas in the city as well as unincorporated county territory. So what we're doing here is, if the commission approves the annexation,
Correct.
residents will now have the option to connect, but you still have to go through the district connection process.
Sure.
So the district will have to determine if they're willing and capable of providing services to that particular area. Land use designation falls under the county or the city, depending on what that property is located. So that doesn't change. So you would have to get approval from either the city or the county, depending on where that property is located. But if you want to get water from the district, if this annexation is approved, you can go directly to them. And if you want to get sewer, you would have to coordinate with the city of Scotts Valley. So they're two separate entities.
Right. And I can't do the sewer until the sphere of influence is changed. So that was my question, is in this meeting, the sphere of influence changes and now it wraps around the property.
So just for
Correct.
clarification, the sphere that's being amended is just for the water district.
Okay.
So it doesn't change anything for the city of Scotts Valley.
Okay.
So if that property is outside the city limits and the city sphere, you have to get LAFCO's approval for that. That's a separate discussion.
Two
So right now,
different-
we're just talking about
Sure.
water.
Okay. Well, I just thought that maybe this was a place, and I had
No,
all the attention of all the higher up.
So what you can do is contact Mr. Serrano's office, and I'm sure he can give you some more clarification on the.
Okay, but this is a
Happy to
good
today.
start. This is a great start, and I'm for the annexation. To connect to the city or the Scotts Valley Water Department, it's $25,000. If you want a little bit bigger line, it's $35,000, and that's just the application fee. This property does have a well, but you don't have to pay for the water, so it's kind of one of those things where I wouldn't connect to it anyways, but having the option is great if the well were to fail. So.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone online? Oh, please come on up. Excuse me.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the time here. Big question I have about the annexation is how in the world did my particular parcel become part of this proposed sphere of influence? Where I'm located, there is no reasonable way to deliver water there. And I was happy to hear that maybe there's no extra taxes that would be involved. I don't think that was the case when this came up 5 years ago. It was my understanding that all the annexation people would be responsible to share the cost of the main that they would have to put in. And I certainly should be excluded from that. And I'd like to have my parcel removed from this annexation evaluation here. I'm located at the very top of El Rancho Drive. In Mount Herman northbound on-ramp behind the Sutter Health Medical Clinic there. The only, I'd like the water district to tell me what main they would intend to serve from on it. I know the main stops behind us is Carbonero Creek, or you'd have to cross from Glen Canyon across Carbonaro Creek and come up the back of my property through environmentally sensitive areas to deliver my lateral. Likewise, I don't believe there's a lateral on El Rancho Drive, and maybe or maybe not on La Madrona, but let's assume there's one on La Madrona, you'd have to cross Highway 17. There's really no practical way to run a lateral there either. When I asked someone 5 years ago, why is my property on there? Their response was, well, it makes our maps look clean because we can get a straight line. And to me, that's a very poor response in terms of the practicality of potentially incurring some cost. I'd like nothing better to be able to be on, city water and have that opportunity. Well, they say it's free water, but it's far from free when you have to repair and re-drill and things like that. So I'd like some consideration to remove my parcel from this annexation consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to
Commissioner.
ask a couple questions. The first thing is your property presently in the sphere of influence for Scotts Valley?
I
Was it in
can't
the-
quite tell from the map whether it's in the sphere or it's in the proposed sphere. It doesn't seem to get down to the APN level from the blue and the gray or orange or what have you. But it's my understanding that I'm not currently in the sphere, but there's a proposed annex into it. But I don't know that full answer, Mr. Anderson.
And are there other people similarly situated?
There's at least one property, and there may be two others, but as I recall, there was just my property and one other property that would be in a similar situation. The other ones were just on the other side. My contiguous neighbors were outside of that map.
Thank you.
Mr. Serrano?
I'll just note two things. One, if we can coordinate after this meeting to really pinpoint your location, and just again for clarification, if the annexation is approved, again, there is no cost associated to the residents. Now, if the residents want to actually receive water from the district and they are not near a main line, there is fees associated to actually connecting into the infrastructure. And that's where the residents can do cost sharing if you want to extend the main line to your properties. But again, that's the second part of connecting to the water district's infrastructure. First is, if this isn't approved and your property wanted to get water, you would have to go through the LAFCO process, get approval, and then go through the district for the connection process. We're trying to expedite it by including these areas that are in the sphere. That being said, I want to make sure that we're doing something that it benefits you. So if we can coordinate after this meeting, that way staff can also coordinate with the district to see if we can amend the annexations. I think it would benefit your property, giving you the option, but LAFCO's not here to force any annexation or boundary change to any of the landowners.
So with whom should I follow up with?
Directly with me. So
I'm sorry, I missed your name on the roll call.
Joe Serrano.
Joe Serrano?
So I'm the LAFCO staff. So if you and I
Okay.
can coordinate.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Do we have another comment?
Well, just for clarification, so I think what Joe's telling you is if you were not included in this annexation and your well fails, you'll have to come back to LAFCO and pay the fees of LAFCO to get back included in that on top of what the water company is going to charge you. So in the long run, insurance, when I say insurance, not insurance, but it would reduce your fees later if you well fails and you have to come to us.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I was just concerned about.
Come on up to the mic, sir. Come on up to the mic. Thank you.
My concern were twofold, being a part of a taxation there where I will never receive any benefit from it. And the second part is being part of a pool of people who would need to pitch money and to extend the mains when it's not practical to even deliver a lateral off of any potential or proposed extended mains.
Thank you.
I understand your point. Thank you.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, I do see one hand raised from the general manager of the water district. So
Is this David?
Yes, I just, one point I did want to make in regards to the gentleman who just spoke. Yes, he is currently in the sphere of influence that was amended, I believe it was about 5 years ago. And, another point is no one is compelled or has to sign up for service. In his case, I'm pretty familiar with that area. Yes, it would require a main extension of some kind to provide service to that neighborhood. But again, it's just it's an option and removes fees required for that option. So I just looked it up, and he is currently in the sphere of influence.
Thank you,
sir.
David.
And Madam Chair, we don't see any other hands raised at this time.
Okay, let's bring this back to the commission to discuss the recommended action this morning to adopt the draft resolution number 202308 for approving the 184 parcel annexation into the Scotts Valley Water District. Who would like to begin?
I'll move the recommended action.
Okay, we have a first
I'll second.
and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, this item passes. We're going to move on to item 6, other business. This is item 6A, special districts regular member seat 2023 election results. Mr. Serrano, I'll turn this over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The term limit for Commissioner Rochelle Lather is set to end in May of this year. So in preparation, LAFCO staff conducted an election process. We sent out a request for candidates in December and early of January. We received 2 applicants. Our incumbent, Ms. Rochelle Lather from Soco Creek Water, and Joseph Gallagher from the newly created Pajaro Valley Healthcare District. The ballots were sent out earlier this year to the 22 independent special districts. We received a good turnout. 20 of the 22 districts submitted a ballot. And I'm happy to report that Commissioner Rochelle Lather was reelected for another 4-year term. So staff is requesting that the commission adopt the draft resolution certifying the election results. And Madam Chair, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, any questions?
I'll move recommended action.
So I have a second.
Yeah.
Any questions from the audience or comments?
We do not see any hands raised online, and we got a thumbs up in the crowd.
Thumbs up.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's move to item 6B. This is our employee performance evaluation. Congratulations, Michelle. Welcome back. Good, we are too. So this is an employee performance evaluation. Recommended action is to adopt the draft resolution approving the salary adjustment for LAFCO's executive officer. I'll turn this over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last month, the commission conducted a closed session to go over staff's performance evaluation for the 2021 calendar year. After that meeting, staff met with the personnel committee. And there was a discussion of a 3% salary increase based on the performance. Based on that discussion, staff is proposing a draft resolution that is showing that 3% increase. So staff's recommending approval, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, any questions? Seeing none, any from the audience or online?
Madam Chair, I do not see any hands raised at this time.
Yeah, bring this.
I'll move the recommendation.
Great.
I'll second.
We have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, we're moving right along to item C, LAFCO staffing. Current consultants and potential analysts. The commission will review LAFCO's current and proposed staffing structure. The recommended actions to approve the draft contractual agreement to hire a new LAFCO analyst with a start date of April 10th. Mr. Serrano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to go over the dream team that we have right now. We may have in the coming days. As the commission knows, we have several consultants. We have Josh Nelson, who I believe is from the best legal counsel in the LAFCO world, BBK. He's been very helpful in reviewing staff's draft resolutions. As you've seen throughout the years, our resolutions are more thorough. And I really want to commend Mr. Nelson for his help on that. We also have Don Jarvis, who is our fire consultant. He's been instrumental in helping complete the fire reorganization involving Branson 40 and Scotts Valley Fire. We are scheduled to present that reorganization for commission consideration in June. We also have AP Trenton, who's working on a feasibility study that will show the financial impacts to the fire districts if they annex territory into their jurisdiction, and how does that impact the county's CSA 48 because they currently provide services outside those fire districts. We're scheduled to present that study to the commission in August. We also have Ms. Perrette Harmon, who we recently hired. She is our water consultant. She was very helpful in completing this Scotts Valley Water District annexation that was just approved. And she'll be very resourceful when LAFCO staff reaches out to these small private water systems scattered throughout the county. The goal is to build a stronger working relationship with those water systems, and having her expertise will be very helpful. That being said, I think it would benefit LAFCO's organization if we had another full-time employee. That's why your staff did a recruitment process in late last year. We received 3 prime candidates. Your staff did an interview process, and the one that stood out is a familiar face. He is the former Watsonville City Council member, former mayor. He was a former commissioner to LAFCO. So he knows LAFCO. He knows the county. He knows South County. He would be an asset right out of the gate. So that's why staff is recommending that the commission approve the contractual agreement to hire Francisco Estrada to be LAFCO's first LAFCO analyst. And Madam Chair, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but that is staff's recommendation.
Thank you. Any questions from our commissioners?
Let me just provide a note of support. I know the board the commission had a discussion about the necessity of creating an analyst position, which I'm fully supportive of. I think that the work on the clerk shared responsibilities with Marin and I mean, we've got a rock star clerk right here as well, works. I think that Mr. Estrada, who it's kind of uncomfortable having people sit in the far corner of the room, but I think Mr. Estrada comes with not just the knowledge that you mentioned, Mr. Serrano, but also comes with a very human element of the understanding of what LAFCO does and responsibility about growth within a community, how it can impact everything from agricultural land to low-income housing, the water elements. So it isn't just the knowledge from sitting on this side, but also just on a very personal and human side. So I think he's going to bring an outstanding voice to your team, fully supportive of that hire.
Please.
Yeah, I just wanted to note for the record that Raquel and I met with our executive director about this, and we agreed completely with his recommendation to hire Francisco.
Madam Chair, one item that I forgot to mention is something that we discussed at our last commission meeting was the budget. We have these consultants, but now that if we're adding a full-time employee, how is that going to work? And well, this is kind of a sneak peek of the draft budget that's going to be presented to the commission at our next meeting in May. And as you can see, we're going to reduce our professional services earmarked funds and increase salaries. But the proposed budget for fiscal year 23-24 is actually going to be slightly lower than our current budget. Again, LAFCO staff really looks for ways to be conservative with our fundings. And I still see a benefit of having our consultants, but we're now limiting their time and effort because we're going to have an expert such as Francisco on the team. So I just wanted to show that as additional information to the commission.
Thank you. Any comments? Nice to see you, Francisco.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Mr. Executive Officer. I'm I'm back. I can't tell you how much I miss public service. I just felt like out of a fish out of water a little bit. And as much as I love nonprofit work and I love Food What, and I thank them for the great year they gave me in reminding me of what good quality hard work looks like. I came in very motivated and just very excited to serve my community, serve the entire county. I'm excited to just be a kind of a nameless person, hopefully in the background doing work, hopefully good work for the community. And I'm very happy and very excited to be here. And it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I promise you, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of good work. And as Commissioner Friend said, LAFCO, I can't tell you how much I value LAFCO. That fire consolidation we did not too long ago really showed me the power and the importance of LAFCO and the role it has in our community. So again, just very excited and very grateful for the opportunity. Yeah, and I couldn't live without Zach anymore. Honestly, that was the number one reason why I just had to come back. So
There it is. Well, as a result of that, I'll move the recommended actions, Madam Chair.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The item passes. Welcome to the team, Mr. Estrada.
Thank you. See you Monday.
yes, see you Monday.
See you Monday.
Early.
Better be on time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, this brings us to item D, legislative updates.
Just briefly, Madam Chair, LAFCO continues to monitor any LAFCO related bills. CalLAFCO also does the same, and we identify those bills that are being tracked. But one item that staff is recommending that we take a support position is the omnibus bill. Your staff is the omnibus bill liaison for CalLAFCO, so I'm very happy to recommend a support position for this item. It's non-controversial. It just clarifies two aspects in LAFCO law. Requiring a property tax exchange agreement before we deem a project complete, and giving the flexibility of LAFCOs around the state to provide documentation, specifically a certificate of completion to the affected agencies, either hard copy or electronically. So again, non-controversial items being amended to the LAFCO law. So staff is recommending that this commission take a support position and direct staff to send a letter of support to the bill's author. And Madam Chair, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions on the letter to support the position on AB 1753? Any comments or questions from our audience?
No, ma'am.
Let's bring this back to the commissioners for an action.
I'll move recommended action and support.
We have a first.
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Friend. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that item passes. We're going to move on to item 7, written correspondence. This is LAFCO staff receives written correspondence and other materials on occasion. Do we have any this morning?
No, but I just wanted to inform the commission that yesterday afternoon, I did receive an email from CSDA. They're having their annual conference in August of this year. And they've requested that LAFCO staff do a breakout session at their conference to really showcase the synergy between CSDA and LAFCO. So I will be a guest speaker for their annual conference. And also I'll be a guest speaker to CSDA's luncheon tomorrow. And some of the commissioners will be joining that luncheon. So you can see the stronger working relationship between CSDA and Santa Cruz LAFCO. So I just wanted to inform the commission about that.
Thank you. Any comments?
And it's required.
Any comments? Questions? Okay. Item 8 for press articles during the months of February and March. There's no action required on this item. Mr. Serrano?
Madam Chair, I don't have a presentation. This is just a periodic update, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Comments? All right, let's move on to item 9. This is our turn to share any business briefly on issues not listed on today's agenda. Commissioners, any comments? You guys are on fire today. All right. Item 10, adjournment from today's LAFCO meeting. And our next regular scheduled meeting is on Wednesday, May 3rd. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you to those on the Zoom call. This meeting is adjourned at 9:39.
Well done.
There we go. Done.
Very quick.
Yeah. You guys didn't.
No, you did a nice job.
Yeah.
My wife's